The NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It was founded in 1909 by a group of black and white liberal intellectuals in New York. The reason that they formed was due to a race riot in Springfield, Illinois in 1908 that called a conference on social equality. It was also formed in the response to the practice of lynching, which was at large in the South at the time. Some founders of the NAACP are William English Walling, Mary White Ovington, W.E.B. Du Bois, Ida Wells, and Oswald Garrison Villard.
William Walling was an American labor reformer and socialist Republican born into a wealthy family in Louisville, Kentucky. He founded the National Women's Trade Union League in 1903. Born in 1877, died 1936. His education at Harvard Law School, the University of Chicago. He was a co-founder of the NAACP. He wrote 3 books on socialism in the early 20th century. He left the Socialist Party because of its anti-war policy, as he believed United States participation in the Great War was needed to defeat the Central Powers. 1908, Welling and his wife Anna went to Springfield, Illinois to investigate a race riot that occurred on August 14.
Oswald Garrison Villard was born in Wiesbaden, Germany on March 13, 1872. After being educated at private schools and Harvard University, he joined his father's newspaper, the New York Evening Post, in which he worked as a journalist and a reporter, and eventually went on to become the owner after his father's untimely death in 1900. In 1909, Villard, along with his mother, joined with several other radicals to form the NAACP, where he gave his support to women's suffrage, trade union law reform, and equal rights for African Americans. A sincere pacifist, Villard strongly opposed American participation in World War I. In 1918, with warfare at its height, the pressure on Villard and the Post to form patriotic readers and advertisers had become financially unbearable, and he was forced to sell his newspaper company. Villard retained ownership of the weekly edition of the New York Evening Post and continued to use this as publicity for the NAACP's activities and motives. By the end of World War I, his newspaper, The Nation, faithfully supported radical causes. It only had a circulation of around 25,000 readers, but it had a tremendous influence in political and intellectual circles. Oswald died on October 1st, 1949 in New York from a terrible kidney disease he had been fighting. But his legacy and impacts, dedication from the NAACP still lives on today.
W.E.B. Du Bois was born on February 23, 1968 in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. He died on August 27, 1963 in Accra, Ghana at the age of 95. Du Bois was an African-American writer, teacher, sociologist, and a civil rights activist whose work transformed the way how the lives of black citizens were seen in American society. After receiving a bachelor's degree from Fisk University in 1888, Du Bois entered Harvard College as a junior and received his second bachelor's degree in 1890. In 1895, he became the first African-American to earn a PhD from Harvard University. In 1909, Du Bois was one of the co-founders of the NAACP organization. From 1910 to 1934, he served as a director for publicity and research. As he was a member of the NAACP, he edited a journal of options called The Crisis. Through his work as an editor, he highlighted stories of the lynchings and the brutalities committed against African Americans. Following to World War I, the NAACP was one of the leading protest organizations, and Du Bois was its leading figure. In 1934, he resigned from the NAACP board and from the crisis because of his new strategy that ran in opposition to the NAACP commitment for the African American nationalists.
One day, when the glory